welcome to 20 Questions with me, Toby Berryman.
And me, Archie Burton.
Our second guest on 20 Questions is Dr. Brendor Grosvenor. Brendor is a British art dealer, art historian and writer. He is known for discovering a number of important lost works by Old Master artists. As a dealer, he specialises in Old Masters, with a particular interest in Anthony van Dyck. You may know him from the BBC One series Fake or Fortune, or from his current BBC Two series Britain's Lost Masterpieces. Brendor was originally a Conservative Party advisor. He is of Swiss heritage, and he is the fourth cousin, once removed, of Hugh Grosvenor, the 7th Duke of Westminster.
Hi, Brendor. Please tell us a little bit about yourself, your current work, and what you do.
Well, you've just told me a great deal about myself. I hadn't actually figured out that I'm the fourth cousin once removed of the Duke, so well done for working that out. So I'm an art dealer and art historian, and I live in Scotland, in Edinburgh, and I suppose you could characterise my day job as trying to find lost paintings, wherever they are in the world, either in museums or in auction.
What is your favourite all-time discovery?
I think because, as you said, Van Dyck is my favourite artist, so I was very lucky to find a Van Dyck self-portrait once, which was very nice indeed.
What was the first piece of art you ever purchased, and how old were you?
I can't actually remember, so I'm sorry about that. I can remember the first discovery I made was a tiny watercolour by a Scottish painter called William Fett Douglas. Came up at Bonhams in London. It cost about 20 quid. And I must have been about 17 or 18.
Could you tell us a little bit more about your time as an advisor to the Conservative Party?
Well, I was there, I think, from about 2003 to 2005, and I used to advise them on arts policy, heritage policy, gambling policy.
Do you have any tips for young people who might want to learn more about art?
Yes, go to as many museums as you possibly can and look closely at all the paintings and see which ones you like. And then, once you know what period you like, what artists you like, then go away and read up some books, that sort of thing.
What inspired you to become an art historian and art dealer?
I think it was always the sense that there was so much more to find out there. Sometimes when you go to museums and read art history books, you get the feeling that everything's already known. But once you understand that actually, in many ways, we've only just scratched the surface and that it's up to anyone who's interested in art history to go and find the evidence, the documents, the lost paintings, then that can become a very exciting process, and off you go.
What is your favourite thing about your job?
It's got to be that sense of discovery. It takes a lot of hard work, you know, spending hours online slogging through auction catalogues or whatever, but when you get that sort of little light bulb moment and you think, this English school portrait might in fact be by Thomas Gainsborough or someone, that's very exciting.
Have you ever tried to paint pictures yourself?
I've tried, but I'm no good as an artist. I can't really even draw a smiley face. A lot of people think that in order to try and discern who painted what, you need to be an artist yourself, but actually it's not very helpful because you don't want to have too much sympathy with the painter. You need to be a very harsh critic in order to discern whether a painting is by a great artist like Van Dyck or whether it's just not quite good enough and might be by one of his studio assistants.
Can you ever look at art without mentally analysing it?
I'm not quite sure what mentally analysing it means, but I have to confess I sometimes don't think very deeply about a composition. I'm very much a technique person, so I'm always looking at the details of a painting more perhaps than the overall story itself.
What is your favourite art gallery and why?
Difficult to have a favourite, actually. There are so many I like. But I do have a particular fondness for the Rubens House Museum in Antwerp, because it's got some lovely pictures in, and also because it's where Rubens himself lived and worked. So you get it's quite an intoxicating mix of heritage there.
I've recently been looking at the news and your blog, and I read a piece you'd put on about some old master fakes that got into Sotheby's. Could you possibly tell us a little bit more about that and how significant this could be for the art world?
Well, it's just one proven fake at the moment. It was a painting that purported to be by the great Dutch 17th century artist called Frans Hals, and Sotheby's sold it privately in 2011 for a rumoured $10 million. So it was a very big and important sale for them, and it's now been discovered by them that actually it was made in the 20th century and is a fake. Now, the thing that's important about this particular fake is it is really, really good, and it is worrying a lot of people in the art world because if there's a faker who's this good out there, then of course the question is, what else has he done? And it looks like that there's going to be quite a few pictures to be rumbled in the months and years ahead.
What is your favourite piece of music?
Probably Mozart's Requiem. I quite have a sort of fondness for what you might call sad or melancholic classical music. In a way, it actually cheers me up.
If you could invite 3 people, dead or alive, to a dinner party, who would you choose and why?
I think I'd go for dead people, because there's so much I would like to learn from them. The first has obviously got to be Anthony Van Dyck, so he could give me a comprehensive list of all the pictures he painted and where they might be. The next person I think would be former British Prime Minister Benjamin Disraeli, who was Queen Victoria's favourite Prime Minister and who was apparently very funny and very clever. And then the last person, I did my PhD, my history thesis, on a former British Foreign Secretary called the Earl of Derby, the 15th Earl of Derby. So I'd like to have a chat to him.
What is your favourite piece of literature and why?
I've got to confess, I don't read enough fiction. I should read more. I spend my time, if I have time to read a book, usually history or art history books, but I've got a soft spot for the works of E.M. Forster, who wrote Passage to India, and in particular I like his book called The Longest Journey.
What is your favourite place and why?
Well, I think it's got to be Scotland. I moved up here 3 years ago, and I'm still in that phase of being an evangelical convert to all things Scottish.
What is your favourite piece of art and why?
I recently had to think of this question quite deeply, because I was given, very nicely, I was given the Your Favourite Painting slot in Country Life magazine, and it was a portrait by Van Dyck, of course, of his friend and fellow painter Martin Ricard. It's a painting in the Prado Museum in Madrid. And Martin Ricard, despite being a very good artist, only had one arm, and this is quite a moving painting because it shows him sitting in his chair with only one arm.
What is the best piece of advice you have ever been given?
I've been lucky enough to have a succession of very good history teachers who really set me up on the path I'm on now, and one of the first of those was a chap called Richard Spencer. He said, I was about your age, I guess, he said, Grosvenor, you must have a thirst for knowledge. Thirst for knowledge. And I think you've always, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, you've always got to be wondering what's going on and how you can learn more about it.
If you weren't an art historian, art dealer and writer, what do you think you would be?
I don't know. The scary thing is now, when you get older and you find your niche in life, and you start to think, if it all stopped, what could you do? And I just don't know. I don't think I could do anything else. Maybe I quite enjoy being a train driver or something. You could just get in a cab and watch the world go by.
What do you think your greatest achievement has been?
I don't know. I found some lovely pictures in my time, but I'm probably proudest of some tiny influence I had when I was working for the Conservative Party. It was after the 2005 general election when the Tories had actually lost to Labour. But Labour needed our help to get some controversial legislation through about launching what were called super casinos, and the plan was to have a huge chain of giant casinos in cities across Britain. And I'm not a fan of gambling, and behind the scenes we worked quite hard to stop these super casinos, and we did, and they've never come back.
Do you have a hobby or secret talent?
Do I have a hobby or secret talent? Hobby? Many hobbies. I'm a bit of a train anorak, I have to say. I love a steam train. So, that would be it, I suppose.
Thank you for joining us on 20 Questions.
Great pleasure. Well done. See you soon. Have a good day. Bye.
Bye.